Good morning, Cooley.
Coolin' with the Coolies and the Cooley MOB. Kids, you should come and kick it with the Cooley MOB. Cause it's the Cooley MOB. It's the Cooley MOB. Come and kick it with the Cooley MOB. We on some Cooley MOB shit.
You guys, I just woke up. I gotta go somewhere real quick. But I just wanted to talk to you guys because we have been MIA. Oh my goodness. So let me tell you what's been up. So I was like ripping and running, you know, handling everything that I needed to handle. We was good. But remember that lump that I had in my breast, you guys, that we was like, oh yeah, we hope it's nothing and stuff like that. It'll go away. It's just like from breastfeeding, right? So the doctor that I went to kept on telling me like, oh, it's nothing. And I'm like, but I see it's getting bigger. Like, you know, she's like, no, you know, it'll just go away. It's just from breastfeeding. Okay. So maybe like a month or something after I had it, my friends, you know, that has kids was like, oh, that's a breast milk duct, you know. You should get it, you should start rubbing it, right? You should start rubbing it, it'll go away. You put warm water on it, compress it, They was telling me the whole rundown. So I'm like, okay, why couldn't I get a doctor to tell me this though? Because, you know, meanwhile I'm getting ultrasounds and everything. I'm like, oh my God, I got breast cancer. What the f is going on? I'm like I'm doing the most because I'm thinking the worst. So that way, if it's not the worst, then I could like stop panicking. I go to the ER because every doctor is like just tripping, acting like nothing's happening. So I go to the ER because at this point, it's hurting really, really bad. You know, it's red, it's getting bigger. I'm panicking. So I go to the ER, and they tell me that I have a breast mastitis. So what that is basically like breast milk that's clogged, that's getting an infection. So that way, so then you need to take antibiotics that way that the infection could go away. So I thought I had COVID too, you guys. So that's another thing. Another side effect for this infection is that you have fever and chills and like headache, body aches and stuff like that. So a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, I got COVID. Oh my God. So I was panicking. Oh my God. I was like, you know what? If I got COVID, I don't even care. I'm going to get this vaccine. I'm going to kill this before it kill me. Like, y'all, I was just tripping. I was on some craziness. But I got tested for COVID and it was negative. So I'm like, oh my God, I knew these tests wasn't real. Like, I know I got COVID. But to kind of find out I didn't have COVID. It was just the infection from my breast that my body was trying to fight it off. So, you know, that was the symptoms or whatever. So anyway, the symptoms went away after like 3 days. So I'm like, okay, can't have COVID. That's crazy. I was still waiting on my test results to come back though. I had got a rapid test. So I think it happened in like the same day or something. So, but it took me like a day or two to even get the COVID test because I was in denial. I was like, I got COVID. I know I do. I don't need to get a test to tell me that I got COVID. But anyway, I was negative. So that's good. I'm sorry y'all if y'all could like hear other stuff and stuff like that, but so the ER gave me antibiotics, right? So she was like, take these for 7 days, every 6 hours, boom. I'm like, all right, bet. So I leave, you know. Meanwhile, while I was at ER, it's because the doctors was, you know, tripping and acting all crazy. So I'm like, no, I gotta go to the ER because they gonna handle what needs to be handled. They gonna tell me what's going on because everybody else didn't want to tell me what was going on. But so I left, took the medication, and it started getting bigger. And it started becoming like purplish, and it was hurting really bad to the touch. You know, I was pumping, I was trying to breastfeed everything because you have to get the milk out. So, you know, I was still trying to get the milk out, but I couldn't even like lift my breast anymore. Wearing bras had been hurt before I even went to the ER. So I'm just like, oh, like I wasn't drugging myself up because it was like, yeah, just take Tylenol, like, you know, when need be or whatever like that. No, I'm not about to keep drugging myself up, like, because y'all trying to treat what I got, you know, what I need to handle, whatever. So I went back to the ER after it got extremely huge, and I was just like, okay, something got to give. This is not happening. It's not working. And they was like, oh my goodness, this looks really bad. And they was like, we have to do a procedure so that way we can drain it, right? So I'm over here, I'm like kind of hyped because I'm like, all right, boom, we finally about to get some results, about to get something handled. Oh my God, that procedure hurted so bad, so bad. And you know how like you watch the videos on Facebook where they pop the pimples and stuff? So you like, oh my God, you know, I just want to watch. So it was like another lady in there just like watching. I think she was enjoying it. And I don't even mind because I be watching videos like that on Facebook too. But girl, I mean, she was giving me support though. She was like, it's okay. She was rubbing my arm and stuff. And she was squeezing my feet. Girl, but I was in pain. That hurted. What they did was they numbed me with something, like they gave me like a little needle in the breast or whatever, and numbed me like in the area that it was like, you know, tender or red or whatever like that. And then she just cut me with a scalpel. I was not asleep, you guys, and it was not numb yet because she just put the needle in, and then she was like, all right, I'm about to cut. I'm like, wait, you didn't even let it sink in yet. Like, but boom, whatever, she still cut. So I'm like, all right, so she started pushing it out. I'm like, okay. I'm just thinking like, okay, we got to get this out. Be a G, right? Boom. So she pushing it out. And I'm like, all right, you know, we gonna get this handled. She's like, oh my God, it's so much. If I would have known it was this much, I would have took you to surgery. Girl, what? What? I was like, is it too late? Can I still go? Like, it was too late. So she pushing it out, and then she was like, oh my God, I should cut again. I said, no, because I know. I already feel this first cut. We don't need to cut no more. Like, you should have thought about that when you was cutting the first time. No. She's like, I can numb you up again so that way I could like push over here and get it all out. Because she was pushing from like way up here and it was coming out. Meanwhile, it's like right here on my breast. So she was pushing from like my shoulder, the top of my chest, and it was like pus was coming out. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So she numbed me up like 2 more times. Did not work still. It did not work still. And she just kept on pushing it out. And then she was like, okay, so now we gotta pack it. I'm like, what, girl, what is that? She had to put like some little like long gauze like inside of where she cut it. I'm not asleep, you guys. I'm up. So I'm like, what? Oh, I just cried at that point. I was like, she's like, it's okay, you can moan and everything. That doesn't bother me. Like, girl, I'm about to punch you at this point because it hurt. So I'm just sitting there crying. I'm like, I'm trying to breathe, and oh my God. So she ended up packing it. I didn't look. I probably looked one time when she was like squeezing stuff out, but it was like at the end, and it was still more coming out. She's like, yeah, it'll drain for a couple of days. You'll have to change, you know, the bandages and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, they told me how to do it, whatever. But then it was like, you got to take it out in like 3 days. You can either go to your primary doctor or you could come back to the ER. And I'm over here looking like, well, the primary doctor didn't do nothing, so I might be back in the ER. Like, hey y'all, we back. Y'all did this, take it out. But yeah, that's just where I've been at, you guys. I've been like super panicking and worried about this, and also trying to enjoy my children because I thought I was gonna die. So I'm just like, I was just like, YouTube was the last thing on my mind because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm really like, I was really focused on this. Like, I have been dealing with this for literally like 2 months, but like the first month I was still like, you know, making videos and everything because I was like, okay, you know, it's nothing. But then after, nobody was paying attention to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared to go to sleep because I don't even know if I'm gonna wake up. Like, I had no clue what was going on with me. And you know, all I'm thinking is like, okay, lump in the breast is getting bigger, it's hardening, it's starting to hurt. That's, you know, bad. That's cancerous. Like, because that's what they told me. Like, oh, you know, just let us know if it starts hurting or if you can't move it around anymore. So when that happened, I'm like, oh my God. So they still wasn't trying to listen to me though. So I was just like, but yeah, I'm currently on like, I'm a couple days after the procedure. I'm still in pain. They gave me hydrocodone, but I'm not taking that. Well, they gave me a prescription for it, but I'm like, listen, I don't need the prescription. I still got it from the C-section. They're like, oh, it's okay, you can just take it. I'm like, no, because you finna bill my insurance. Like, but anyway, I'm glad that I'm okay. Let's start with that. I'm glad that I'm okay. I'm glad that it's finally handled. I'm glad that it's done. I'm so glad that I'm back talking to you guys. And we can be happy again now because, you know, everybody good. But it's like, dang, Jacob, why you threw my body out of whack like this? Oh my God. And I had my first cycle like a week ago, and it's back on, and I'm like, what? So it was only off for a week? Like, yeah, y'all, it's crazy. My body is out of whack. Jacob was like, oh, you think you want more? You don't want no more? He got my mind just woo. I don't know. But I'm gonna hit you guys back up later. Thank you for my story time. The water's warm? Oh, everybody can stand up. Uh-oh. Nice. Right. This is so cool. You gonna go in? Jaxon, you gonna walk around? Oh, look at Kennedy. I see you, girl.
I'm walking.
You gonna walk? Look, you're just the same height as Kennedy, so you're gonna be the same in the water, just like her.
Because I am big now.
Because you big? Yeah.
I can't walk.
You smiling at your sister? Uh-oh. Jacob's upset. We gotta go.
Coolin' with the Coolies and the Cooley MOB. Kids, you should come and kick it with the Cooley MOB. Cause it's the Cooley MOB. It's the Cooley MOB. Come and kick it with the Cooley MOB. We on some Cooley MOB shit.